Hello and welcome to XtremeJS. My name is Karan. I am a front-end developer from India. Today I'll be talking about how to improve your web application security using Mozilla Observatory. So let's go to Mozilla Observatory and see how the tool looks like. So here am I on the observatory.mozilla.org where the tool is available for free. So here you can see there are a couple of options. It does cache your results, so you can always force rescan of your results and other options you can check. I'll be scanning for my personal website, so let's run a scan on the personal website. So here you can see the overall score of my website, and also the individual metric score is also displayed here, and each of this metric is passing or failing, you can see. Also the reason for uh, the result of the each metric is displayed here as well. So we'll be going over all of these metrics in details. So let's go back to our presentation and we'll continue from there. So here you can see we'll be talking about all these points. So first one and the main topic for today is the content security policy. Content security policy allows fine-grained control over what all resources can be loaded on your website and from where. So it's a best way to prevent the XSS vulnerabilities known as the cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. They are basically vulnerabilities of type where a attacker can run the malicious script or input that malicious script on your website, and you try to run that as a code, but you try to render that as a text, but it ends up running as a script and does all this kind of nasty thing to your website. Content security policy is difficult to implement in the existing web applications because you don't have the list or you don't know from where all of your resources on the websites are getting loaded from and what all type of inline scripts or styles that you are using on your website. So to solve for that problem, to not break your existing applications, we have another directive called or a header called content security policy report only. So it doesn't block your any resources from getting loaded on your web application. Instead, it reports to the endpoint that you can pass to with report URI directive to that header. So you can basically give your endpoint post endpoint where browser can report all the violations, and you can know beforehand trying to implement that in a existing production application. So let's look at some of the examples of content security policy. So here you can see on the first one, we are just giving two directives, default source, HTTPS. So here we are disabling the unsafe inline evaluation and allowing all the resources to load on HTTPS, but not we are not anyway specifying where this resources should come from. So we are allowing basically every resource to get loaded on our website. Same thing can be achieved using meta tag as well. So here you can see the similar version of the about tag. The third option is where you want to disallow plugins. I think it's for older websites that use like Silverlight or Flash. You might have heard of them. Uh, Fourth one is that you want to allow loading of images from your own website and from a third-party domain such as Imgur on your website. So you are specifically defining that image source can be self or Imgur, or if you want to load it from Unsplash, you can define you can add space https dot https unsplash.com. So you can add much more resources like any uh, other resources you are using to load your images. Same thing for fonts. You can define font source as a Google static gstatic.com. So you can say that I want to load fonts from this particular website. So the interesting thing about this policy is you can see that we are saying that script source itself and style source itself. So you are saying that script and styles can only be loaded from my website only. I can't load it from third party. If you're using any CDN to load any script, you need to specify from which CDN you are specifically loading, so that will allow it to load on your website. So policies like that you should aim for, so you are not allowing any resource to be loaded by default, but you are allowing specific domains that you want to load any resource on your website. This option is basically for the people that have running uh, that have too much inline code running on your website, so you don't want to disrupt the functionality. So you can have that HTTPS unzip eval and unzip inline, but that is not recommended way. Instead, what you can do is that you can just have this report only, and you can define your endpoint where you want to gather the statistics about the current violations. The last one is the frame ancestor directive you can see here. So basically, it allows you to not uh, it prevents your webpage to be loaded as iframe in other websites. It's useful to prevent clickjacking attacks. We'll be talking about that in the later part. So now let's move on to cookies. So cookies, you must know what we use for. It's generally used for storing the session related information or any information that you want to pass on to server or you want to persist across sessions. So cookies has a couple of flags. So you can use secure flag to indicate that should be sent over HTTPS only, and you can define that it should be HTTP only, so that it's sent over request only, and you don't want to access that cookie in your code using JavaScript. So that is a good option as well. Uh, Another important part about cookies is expiration. So you should expire your cookies as soon as possible. Uh, when it's not no longer needed, the sensitive information like a token or a login information that you don't need, you need to remove it very quickly. Same side, another directive with cookies available is that it allows you to send the cookies to allow or disallow sending your cookies to cross origin request. So let's look at the some of the examples. On the first one, you can see that we have this most session ID cookie and path is equal to home path, and it's secure, so it will be sent over HTTP only and HTTPS only, and this HTTP only basically disables the use of this cookie from JavaScript. You can use secure prefix and host prefix as well to prevent any accidental override. Also, you can see here same side is equal to lax and same side is equal to strict. So basically, same side is equal to lax is that whenever you are getting redirected from other or user is navigating from other website, same side is equal to lax, then it means that it will send the cookie to your website. But if it's strict, then it won't send any cookies if we are getting navigated from any other third-party websites. Now let's talk about the dreaded CORS error. CORS is basically cross origin resource sharing. You must have come across dozens of errors in your career. So let's see the timeline of a course error. So let's say you are on a foo.example domain and you want to get a resource from, let's say, cdn.jquery.com. So what the browser does is that uh, it sends a options request called as a pre-flight request. So here you can see it says that I want the origin is https foo.exam and I want to access control request method. This basically specifies what method I am trying to, or what HTTP method I am trying to uh, access. So it says post and what all request header I'll be passing to that particular request. So it says X being other content type. You can specify all your headers that you want to pass to server using this access control request edit. It is. And in the server response, you can see of that prepared request, the server will check if I want to allow this particular origin to access my resources or not. If it does allow, then it will send that access control allow origin, what origin I want to allow, what methods I want to allow. Here you can see post get options. and what all headers I want to allow. So it says Xwing other content type, and it also says access control message. So by default, this duration is 5 seconds, but here you can see it's much more than that. So browser will basically cache this response for this domain on the browser, and for that particular expiry is not met, it won't make any pre-flight request, and it will directly make this main request. So once this pre-flight request response is received by the client, it will send the main request. Here in our case, it's a post request to slash doc, and you can see the request was successfully processed. Another header is that access control allow credentials. So if you want to pass any credentials to the cross origin, that you can do using access control allow credentials. Now let's talk about HSTS, which is like strict HTTP strict transport security. So it basically says that uh, connect to this particular website using HTTPS only, even if the user tries to uh, select HTTPS or types the HTTPS in the browser. So once the HSTS is set in the browser, what the browser will do is that all the upcoming requests, it will automatically upgrade all the requests from HTTP to HTTPS. Also, what HSTS does is that it tells the browser to take that any certificate or TLS error related issues more strictly, and it doesn't allow a user to bypass the error page. So here at HSTS has few options. You can see here message is how long users would be redirected to HTTPS. Include subdomains, whether you want to uh, upgrade all the subdomains of that particular domain to the HTTPS as well or not. And preload is for if you want to if you want your site to be included in the preload list. Now let's talk about redirection. It's the related to HSTS only, like HTTPS redirection from HTTP. But what it does is that you want to set the redirection in your server. So when a user like manually enters that HTTP website, you don't want to give them the error, but what you want to do is that ideally you should redirect them to HTTPS. So once you do that, and if you have set up the HSTS correctly, what the browser will do is automatically upgrade all the feature requests to HTTPS. Also, the redirection shouldn't uh, redirection shouldn't be done to any another domain. So let's say you have a one redirection in place from example.com to example.org. But when user tries to visit http example.com, you don't want to redirect them to directly https example.org because it wouldn't cache that HSTS in your browser. So what you want to do is that you want to redirect them user first from http example.com to https example.com, and then it will automatically redirect to https example.org. So here is the example how you can do using Nginx and Apache server. I'm not sure how many of you are using the this currently. Now let's talk about the referred policy. So basically referred policy used to inform the site or any web app where your user came from. So it's not about security, but it's mostly about the privacy risk. So you don't want to expose your users, or you don't want to reveal your users' browsing history or their personal information. Let's to any third party web application. So let's say you have a page something like that karankiri.com slash username whatever your name is, and I am embedding any third party URL. So if I don't have any strict referral policy, what will end up happening is that that third party will know that this user, like this particular visit was from this particular user. So let karankiri.com slash your username. So that we can do using these directives, no reference. So basically, it will never send a referrer header automatically. Same origin is for when you want to send a referrer to only to the same origin. Third one is strict origin is that you want to send referrer to all origins, but with limited path. So you don't want to send entire path, you just want to send your domain. You don't want to say the user came from karankiri.com dash your name, but I want to just say that this user came from karankiri.com. And the last option is, and the best one is the strict origin press when cross origin. So basically, it will send a full referrer on the same origin, but limited path on the foreign origin. So on the same origin, I want to know where my users are navigating between each link. So that is useful information to that particular website. But cross origin website doesn't care, it shouldn't know like where the user came, which specific page the user came from. They just can know that the user come from this third party website. So here is the example of how you can set this referral policy using A and Meta. Now let's talk about sub-resource integrity. Uh, Most of you might have used CD and hosted JavaScript libraries in your application. So what sub-resource integrity helps is with that. Let's say your CD and hosted JavaScript library is 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 hacked and it's replaced by any malicious script by attackers. So if that malicious script runs on your website, it can do lot of things on your website. It can gather the all the information from steal credential. It can it cause a DDoS attack as well. It can throw errors so your page won't even load anymore. All these kind of attacks can be done using the CDN compromisation. So to prevent such attack, prevent such thing happening to your website, what you need to do is that you need to lock lock the content of your third party library to that particular known content. So to do that, what you need to do is you need to generate a cryptographic hash of that particular file. So let's go to one of the websites from where you can generate the cryptographic hash. So that site is called SRI hash generator, srihash.org. So I have given this jQuery website, sorry, jQuery min.file source. And if I click on hash, so it does give me the script tag with integrity and cross origin is equal to anonymous. So integrity is basically this hash says that this file's content, whatever is there currently, it should match. It gets locked to that hash. So even if you modify one character of this file, the hash won't match, and the browser will not enter that particular load that particular JavaScript file on your website. Now let's talk about why this cross origin is equal to anonymous is required. So the example that we saw earlier. So cross origin is equal to anonymous is required when you are not using the same origin tool to check the integrity. But if you don't define this cross origin is equal to anonymous, the browser will choose to fail open, which means it will load the resource as if the integrity hash that you defined doesn't exist at all and losing all the security features that we just discussed. So it's must to define this cross origin is equal to anonymous on any third party scripts. Now let's talk about X content type options. It's basically it tells the browser what kind of content we are trying to load or the correct MIME type of the file. So by default, if you don't define this header in your website, it will try to guess the MIME type of the file and it can end up and end up evaluating any unsafe file as a JavaScript file and end up running as such. So we what we do, want to do is that we want to define X type content option is equal to no sniff. Last one on this list is Xframe options. So we let's say you have a web page and any attacker tries to embed that web page in their website and it can end up happening. It can uh, what it does is that it allows clickjacking. So people will be clicking on their malicious website, but they think that they are on our website. So that is what clickjacking is. So what extreme options allow us that you can say that I don't want to load my web app as an iframe. So that can be done. Extreme option is only for the older browsers like IE 11 and the older versions of Safari. For newer versions of the browser, you should use content security policy with frame ancestor directive that we discussed earlier. So here is the example of both. You can see content security policy, frame ancestor none, or you can see I want to allow my website to load my other web pages as iframe, so I can do iframe ancestor self. And for extreme options, the same is same origin. And if you want to allow any third party website to load your page, then you can see that frame ancestor https frameworkexample.org. So this particular website can load my any of my web page as an iframe. So that was all about it. Thanks, guys. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn. See you. Thank you.